Hey everyone, Nigel here. By now you're probably aware that we're taking a bit of a break from our usual Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International series for the holiday season. Don't worry, we'll be back with all new episodes starting in January. But until then, we've got a bunch of fun and interesting compilations that we hope you'll enjoy. And today, we figured what better way to get everyone in a festive mood than to cover some of our favorite Christmas-related crime stories from past editions of our show. One thing to keep in mind is that these segments have not been edited since they appeared in their respective lists, so references to specific days of the week as well as other small details may no longer apply. With that out of the way, let's get into it.
Last week we brought you the story of an undercover police duo dressed as Santa and an elf who successfully nabbed 2 suspects in a vehicle theft operation in California. However, it appears they weren't the only law enforcement officers getting into the holiday spirit. This week it was reported that a similar scene unfolded in the city of Lima in Peru when drug cops raided the home of a suspect while also dressed as Santa and an elf. According to Reuters, the officers jumped out of an undercover van outside the suspect's home, proceeding to break down his door while they announced that they were part of an anti-drug task force. The suspect had been caught on video selling drugs outside of his home near a school. During the raid, the festively dressed cops recovered hundreds of small bags of what appeared to be cocaine, along with a handgun. Apparently, the tactic of launching raids while in disguise is common for Peruvian police.
A 33-year-old Long Island man is facing charges after he stole a mini snowplow on Christmas morning and used it to loot a Target location in Bay Shore. Police say that Justin Shuffle stole the 2010 Bobcat skid loader just before 2 a.m. and crashed it through the front doors of the big box retailer. Once inside, he stole a coat and several gift cards. He was apprehended by police a short time later in the store's electronics section. No one was injured in the bizarre Christmas robbery, but the front of the Target reportedly sustained significant damage. Authorities in St. Louis County, Missouri say that a 58-year-old man has been arrested and charged this week after he allegedly robbed a local credit union wearing a Santa hat. According to reports, the crime took place on December 18th when Kenneth Hopper entered the First Community Credit Union in Bridgeton in the northwest suburbs of St. Louis. Once inside, Hopper allegedly threatened to blow up the building and managed to steal $1,000 before taking off. He didn't make it very far, though, as he was caught later that day in the adjacent suburb of St. Anne, still in possession of the stolen money. Hopper was taken into custody and subsequently charged with first-degree robbery and making a terror threat. He remains in police custody at the current time, though was reportedly taken to the hospital following his arrest after complaining of chest pains. Representatives from Ontario's Durham Regional Police say that a 36-year-old snowplow operator is facing charges for impaired driving and driving while exceeding the legal blood alcohol limit this week after he was caught throwing snowballs at other motorists while on the job. According to reports, police were alerted to the incident shortly before 11 p.m. on Wednesday when they received calls that a man driving a tractor with a snowplow attachment was throwing snowballs in a parking lot at Thixon Road and Stellar Drive in Whitby. When officers arrived, they learned that in addition to throwing the snowballs, the man had also been using his tractor to block vehicles into the parking lot. The man, who has been identified only as a 36-year-old from Oshawa, was promptly arrested, and testing revealed that his blood alcohol level was above the legal limit at the time of the incident. He was subsequently charged with impaired operation of a conveyance and operation of a conveyance 80 milligrams or above. Though the 36-year-old was apparently released ahead of his court date, thankfully, it appears that drivers don't need to worry about him getting back on the road for now. In addition to a 90-day license suspension, his tractor was also impounded for 7 days. At the time of this recording, it's unclear if the man was working independently or for a specific snow removal company when the incident took place. It's also not clear what started his bizarre behavior in the first place. Authorities in Montgomery County, Maryland say that a would-be burglar's plans came to an embarrassing end this week when he needed to be rescued from the scene of the alleged crime. According to local media, police were called to a home in Silver Spring at around 5:30 a.m. on January 8th, with a report of an attempted burglary. When they arrived at the residence, located on the 9,000 block of Dameron Drive, they discovered that the suspect had gotten himself stuck in the home's chimney after allegedly trying to use it to gain access to the property. More than 24 firefighters were reportedly called to the scene to assist with rescuing the suspect. Even then, it apparently took the firefighters over 90 minutes to pull him out, as they had to break open a large section of the wall inside of the home and take apart the chimney brick by brick. When the man was finally pulled out, he was taken to the hospital due to injuries he sustained while stuck inside. At the time of this recording, the suspect has not been identified by name, and it's unclear if he has yet been charged in connection with the incident. It's said that he currently remains in the hospital.
Representatives from Florida's Osceola County Sheriff's Office say that they were left completely dumbfounded this week after a man brazenly tried to steal from a store that was packed with police officers. According to reports, the incident took place sometime recently at a Walmart location in the city of St. Cloud while the store was in the middle of holding its annual Shop with a Cop event. The event is a collaboration between the company and the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, where police officers do community outreach by shopping in the store with children for the holidays. As you might imagine, given how busy Walmart is, it's not just 1 or 2 officers that take part in the annual event. According to the Sheriff's Office, nearly 40 of their officers were present on this particular evening, not to mention others from the forensics team, community services team, and other parts of the department. However, apparently none of this was enough to deter one foolhardy alleged thief. As the Sheriff's Office explained in a recent Facebook post, a man, referred to only by the name Brad, was caught trying to steal from the store as the place was packed with their officers. He was promptly arrested and was apparently carrying a variety of items, including perfume, gloves, hedge clippers, a syringe, and a plastic baggie containing, quote, unknown contents. While we have a feeling that the unknown contents Brad was carrying might explain a fair bit about his alleged actions, in either case we agree with the Sheriff's Department, who summed up the situation in just 3 short words, quote, bad idea, Brad.
Authorities in Traverse City, Michigan say that a man allegedly got a little too into character last week when he dressed up as the Grinch at a holiday party and ended up under arrest after channeling his inner mean one. It all started on the night of December 3rd, when some employees from a local oil and gas equipment company were attending their annual work Christmas party at the Hotel Indigo. It was just before midnight, and some of those present had allegedly indulged a little too much in the Christmas spirits, when an argument allegedly started between several of the co-workers in the bar area. The man who reportedly instigated the fight was 30-year-old Tucker Lee Davis, who had apparently dressed up for the festive occasion as the Grinch. According to reports, at first it looked like the situation was under control, when the Grinch's friend, 30-year-old Ryan Jones, who incidentally was dressed as a reindeer, managed to corral him and walk him out of the bar area and towards the lobby. However, things reportedly heated up once again soon after, eventually drawing the attention of some of the hotel's employees. With a fistfight now happening between the Grinch and some others by the lobby's elevators, one of the hotel employees, 35-year-old Jared Archbold, decided to intervene. However, when Archbold blocked the elevator doors from closing, he was allegedly pushed out and onto the ground by the reindeer. Once on the ground, the Grinch jumped on top and began to pummel him. While thankfully Archbold wasn't seriously hurt, his watch was reportedly broken and he was left with minor injuries to one of his eyes. Police arrived soon after and placed the Grinch, aka Davis, under arrest. He is now facing misdemeanor assault and battery charges. The reindeer, aka Jones, meanwhile, was spared charges after it was allegedly determined that he had been trying to de-escalate things and hadn't meant to push Archbold over. He was merely trying to remove his co-worker from the situation. As for Davis's motive behind the crime, it's difficult to say. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Authorities in Lake County, Florida say that a 52-year-old local man is facing charges this week after he got into a domestic dispute with his wife, during which he allegedly unleashed a holiday-themed attack. It all began sometime on the evening of December 12th, when 52-year-old Richard Atchison and his wife were at their home in the city of Fruitland Park. According to reports, Atchison's wife was busy making dinner, but at some point became annoyed that he wasn't helping out. Instead, he was apparently preoccupied with dipping a little too heavily into the Christmas spirits, if you know what I mean. Things allegedly got more heated when Atchison's wife asked him to give her a hand with the dinner preparations, and he got angry, leading to an argument. Things finally boiled over when the wife apparently slammed a spoon either into the sink or a pot of food, at which point Atchison claimed that he was splashed. According to reports, at first Atchison said that he was packing up his things and leaving. However, when he went out to his truck, he suddenly remembered that he was drunk. That's when he apparently went back into the house and demanded that his wife leave the house instead. She reportedly tried, but by this time, Atchison was in a full-blown rage and physically prevented her from going. The raging apparently continued when Atchison's wife ran into the living room. In a feat not seen since the 2000 Jim Carrey remake of The Grinch, Atchison allegedly picked up their Christmas tree and launched it towards her. It reportedly flew into the kitchen and broke in half. Undeterred, Atchison reportedly picked up one of the 2 pieces of the tree and threw it again, this time hitting his wife. That's when she locked herself in her bedroom and called the police. When officers arrived, Atchison was placed under arrest. He is now facing charges of false imprisonment, domestic battery, and violation of injunction. He was released the following day after posting $8,000 bond. Representatives from Arizona's Department of Public Safety are issuing a reminder to all drivers about the rules of the road this week, after they say they pulled over a motorist who decided to try and get away with a little holiday hijinks. According to reports, the incident took place at around 8 a.m. on December 13th, when an officer spotted something unusual while driving on the I-10 in the city of Avondale. There was something weird about the passenger in a red sedan that was being driven by a female motorist who was traveling in one of the highway's HOV lanes. What was wrong with the passenger exactly? Well, you might say he looked a little suspicious. It turned out that the so-called passenger wasn't a passenger at all. It was a life-size inflatable Grinch that the woman had apparently stuck in her front seat to make it look like she was carpooling. Understandably, the driver was pulled over. In a statement on Twitter, representatives from the state's Department of Public Safety said that while they appreciated the driver's festive flair, what she did was in fact still illegal. The woman was apparently issued a citation before being sent on her way. A holiday-themed anti-shoplifting program in Riverside, California resulted in the bizarre arrest of 2 suspected car thieves on Thursday, with 2 of the officers involved dressed as Santa and an elf. The officers were undercover as part of an operation called Santa's Intervention, an enforcement program put on by the Riverside Police Department targeting shoplifters. The officers got word that 3 suspects appear to be casing cars to steal in a nearby parking lot. Though one of the suspects managed to get away in a stolen vehicle, 2 others were arrested at the scene. Part of the incident was caught on video, with the elf holding one of the men at gunpoint, while the Santa could be seen wrestling the other to the ground. In the footage, someone can be heard yelling, "Get him, Santa," in the background. The stolen vehicle was later found abandoned, and police are still on the lookout for the 3rd suspect. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.